Welcome back to the PI Show, viewers. It's that time of the show where we've got Kathy's mailbag. Kathy, we've had Dr. Castle on 2 weeks in a row. How'd you find him?
Good evening, Tony, John, and good evening, viewers. I thought that this episode in particular was very informative, and Dr. Castle, he's just great.
Aren't
he
you
presented
more
very
confused about what chronic pain means now?
No.
Because of John?
No. I actually
Physical.
Well, it is a little... No. It is what it is. It's complex.
It is what it is. I've heard that a few times in my career.
And I'm convinced.
Maybe.
Well, I thought last week that we were all prone to actually having chronic pain, but now I'm assured that we all have complex pain syndrome. So, but look,
Type 1 too.
It's very interesting, and it is clearly a very complex area of law as well. So, and we have to identify it as lawyers in particular. So,
I just think, in a nutshell, it means we don't know what's wrong, and just throw it in the chronic pain basket.
I don't think that it's easy as that, Tony.
That's a bit too cynical there, Tony.
I think that's a little bit simplistic. But the whole thing that it comes down to is that you have to actually assess everything on its merits, because you don't know if it's more physical or psychological, and the debate happens again. So,
and in the end, the onus is on us to prove it.
absolutely.
Yeah, we've got to diagnose a problem first, and we've got to know where it's coming from.
In
But
saying
anyway,
that, we don't actually have another more time for another episode on chronic pain at this point. We need to get into the viewer's question.
let's get on to the questions.
First question. Dear PI Show, 6 months ago I fell over at work and injured my back. I have never been injured before in my life and have attempted to ignore the pain that is plaguing me, because I don't want to lose my job or have financial difficulties. However, it's got to the point where I can't go on. Is it okay that I didn't file a report or anything at the time? What are my options? Thanks. And this is from Conrad in Fenchurch Gully. John, what's your take on this?
Well, we have to make a claim. It's as simple as that. You've got an injury. There are various difficulties by not filing a report at the time, but that can be got over. See a general practitioner. Make sure everything is documented, and make a claim, lodge a claim with WorkCover and the employer. However, and Tony will know this specific piece of the legislation, the onus is on you now to show why you didn't make the claim within 30 days of the injury.
Well, John, once they investigate it, and no doubt there's probably witnesses, you might be able to find witnesses to say that he was worried about losing his job, so that's why he didn't report it.
Exactly, yeah. So, look, it is a problem, it is a difficulty, but it could easily be got over.
Look, if the time was more than 6 months, it would be a real concern.
Exactly.
The longer the time that goes by, the more complicated it gets. That's the reality of it. So I would have thought consult a lawyer. That's the best thing to do.
Always.
Circumstances are always important, but that's some good advice there for you, Conrad. Moving on to question number 2. Hey PI Show, I was recently travelling overseas on an aeroplane when another one of the passengers got up mid-flight and opened the overhead compartment. This caused some loose baggage to fall onto my shoulder, damaging it quite badly. Is there negligence? And this question is from Shannon in Rowville. Now, Tony, can you shed some light? Because I'm sure that a lot of these incidents happen on aeroplanes.
Look,
what's your thoughts?
The key to this case is it's governed by the Warsaw Convention, which has been picked up by a federal piece of legislation. So you're governed by federal legislation. Provided there's an accident that's occurred, not due to the injured person's... What was our client? What was the person that rode in? Shannon. Provided Shannon wasn't the person that caused the accident, yes, he's entitled to sue. It's strict liability under that legislation. So the only time I've had problems with these sorts of cases is if the person that's claiming that they're injured caused the accident or contributed to the accident. So provided a third person caused it, either an air hostess, the flight itself, or one of the other patrons or people on the plane, then you're covered.
So this is a Commonwealth piece of legislation, Tony?
It is, John, it is. And it's strict liability too, John. So once you prove accident, you're in.
All right.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Does it matter in which part of the air if you had to be in Australian territory for it to be
No,
governed
no,
by
no.
Commonwealth legislation, or is it applicable anywhere?
That's why it's the Warsaw Convention, which
Okay.
picks up, every country in the world.
Excellent.
Yeah, everyone signed up to the convention
And Tony, on the facts of this case, has that ever occurred to you, Tony? I know
tell
you're
you
a
what,
frequent traveller.
I'll tell you what, recently flying back from Queensland, the guy next to me went to open his, to get his bag, and it nearly fell on my head.
Ooh.
So, and I've got a client in that situation at the moment, so it's pretty nasty.
Well, thanks for answering that. I hope that this has helped Shannon somewhat. As I said, it's probably common happening on
I think it's opened his
aeroplanes,
eyes, if nothing else.
Okay, well, we're going to move on to our third question for tonight. It says, hi, PI show team. What is strict liability and does it have anything to do with personal injury law? Thanks. And this comes from Antonia in Pakenham. Well, Tony, this follows on from what you were just saying now about
Yeah,
the strict liability.
It's got a lot to do with personal injury law because strict liability applies in a lot of instances. The Trade Practices Act, which is federal legislation again, the law's strict in that case. The airlines legislation, that's strict liability again, provided you can prove accident. The Dog Act, we all know about the Dog Act.
Yes.
If someone hasn't got a dog
Under appropriate
control, in those circumstances, strict liability again. So it's a big part of the personal injury law, and it's very important.
So an organisation is responsible for the conduct of its employees or representatives, and if those employees and representatives act outside the bounds, well, basically it's bad luck, isn't it, Tony?
Well, that's exactly right. But the key to it in all these cases is to ensure that the person that's claiming that they're injured isn't the person that caused the accident. Provided the accident was caused by
The fault of someone else.
someone else. Yeah. In those circumstances, you can rely on strict liability, which makes your job of proving negligence quite easy because you don't have to prove on a balance of problems anymore.
Exactly.
You know, and so you get over that hurdle. And in a lot of cases, John, as you well know, people do lose on the issue of negligence, don't they?
Oh yes, it's a complex topic.
And Kathy, with most cases that go to court, you've got the issue of fault, which is negligence.
That's right.
And then once you get past that, question of how much, quantum. But in a lot of cases, you don't get past fault. So strict liability makes it a lot easier.
That's right. Well, you have to prove that first, and the onus is generally on you to prove. So
That's exactly right.
That's
We're just
correct.
getting towards the end of the show, so we
It
have
is.
to.
We
some
have
reminders.
to. We have to go to tell our viewers actually where to come to visit us at www.thepishow.com. We want you to keep writing in. We want you to catch up on earlier episodes, and if you need to understand the complex pain syndrome, please catch Dr. Castle again on our shows. We've got 2 great episodes, and hopefully we'll have him back on again.
And also with that show, Kathy, the good thing about it is not only can they send in questions, but if there's a topic they want us to cover that we find interesting and of general interest to the public,
Absolutely.
we're happy to research it and do it. I mean, if you recall going back a long time ago, we did Donoghue and Stevenson at the
That's right.
request of a school teacher. So
Well, there's lots of things to cover anyway, so we're always
Yeah.
happy to attend to what our viewers want.
yeah, look, it's the end of the show, so we better thank our viewers for watching. Stay safe, viewers, and keep tuned for next week. Thank you, Kathy.